boy, this week has caused me to think a lot about the people in my circle. And if you're anything like me, dealing with the pandemic, you've not really spent a lot of time with your friends, and you're probably not even spending time with your coworkers because of whatever rules that have been set in place. This made me think back long and hard about how did I choose the people to be in my circle as friends? What were the qualities? What were the requirements? Just how did that come about? I can remember one of the first times I ever really gave it any consideration when I was in third grade. Now, mind you, I'm from the country. So when my parents moved us up to the city, it was scary. I didn't know anyone, and then I had to walk this long walk to my elementary school, English Avenue, in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, I was a bookworm, even way back then. And I didn't see very well, which is a secret that I kept to myself for the longest. But even though I couldn't see well, I was smart as a whip in school, which led to my being picked on, bullied, whatever you call it. And I'll never forget, there was this girl that she didn't even really know me. She picked on them. There was this one boy that was always picking on me, and she beat him up, gave him a bloody nose, and told him, don't ever say another word to me. I felt so proud. And she never knew it until many years later that she became my best friend. And in a lot of ways, I guess you could say we did, because we spent a lot of time together during school time. We were in a lot of the same classes, going to the same teacher. A lot of times we even had the same recess schedule. I'm not even sure if they have recess now. I guess I'm telling my age, so just forgive me and bear with me. The point I'm trying to make is, throughout life, there can be an incident or circumstance, something can happen to make you begin to quantify the people in your life. And just because there are people in your immediate family doesn't necessarily mean they become a member of your inner circle. And it all begins with how you interact with others. When I went to high school, I was a nerd, my Coke bottle glasses, and of course my best friend from elementary school was in a whole different classroom. So we didn't get to see each other very much. So I felt alone. I felt ostracized. And the only time it seemed as if people wanted to give me the time of day was when they wanted to cheat off of my paper. That wasn't very much fun. And I'll never forget, there was a day where a girl in my class invited me to her house after school. Now, mind you, I was 13, and there were rules in my house. After all, I'm the oldest, so a lot of responsibility fell on me, having both my parents working. Well, this particular day, I decided to ignore my parents' rules because I was so excited. A girl invited me to her house. So I went. And it was kind of fun at first. We sat in her nicely decorated bedroom. We laughed and talked and just had a really great time. And I never forget the color of her bedspread. It was yellow with flowers on it. And she had curtains to match. We didn't have anything like that at my house. Heck, the boys and girls all slept in one great big room. Anyway, at some point during our time together, she decided to go downstairs and get us something to drink and a little something to snack on. And so I just laid across her bed and just looked around the room and imagined what it would be like if I had my very own room that I didn't have to share with my brothers and sisters. And then the door opened and I jumped up to give her a hand because I thought she might need a hand with the snacks and what have you. But that wasn't it. It wasn't her. It was actually her brother and three of his friends. And I felt my heart pound just a little bit. It was kind of like a little warning, but being 13, you're not really sure what that warning is, but you just felt a little unease. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but I will tell you this. That day, I lost my virginity and my innocence. And I remember the long run home and the closing of the bathroom door to discard my clothes and then clean myself up. And then the washing of my face so that nobody would know what had happened. You know, that was a secret I kept for many, many, many years. But that incident colored my perception of people, of so-called friends. And it stuck with me. It colored all of my interactions for many years. I was a lot more cautious. I became even more of a bookworm. I kind of shied away from people. And even the girl and her brother and his friends, they used to always run in the other direction whenever they saw me. Later on, as I got older, I kind of figured it was probably because they thought the police would be coming soon, but I never told. I know you're probably thinking, why didn't you? Well, number one, I broke my parents' rules. Number two, I was where I wasn't supposed to be. And number three, what happened to me is because, number one, I broke my parents' rules. Of course, now I don't believe that anymore, but the 13-year-old me did. And so I carried that pain, that hurt, and that shame with me. And because of it, I made very few new friends. But I did have some acquaintances with which I would discuss issues like world poverty and world peace further on down the line. But I'll never forget that particular incident. But there was a sparkle of light there, of hope. And that was my friend from elementary school, Pam. You know, because of the way she interacted with me way back then, it carried me and it kept me, and it allowed me to have hope that perhaps I could gain new friends again. Eventually in high school, we did kind of connect again, and it was almost like we'd never been apart. And only with her would I let my guard down and laugh and joke and do the things that all teenage girls do. I didn't allow a lot of people to be in that circle. You know, once we graduated high school, though, she went her way, I went mine, and we had a long instance of not being together. And so that allowed me to think more and more about what constitutes a friend in my life. And as I got older, I would allow a few people in. I had friends that I could laugh with some, but not fully. I had friends that introduced me to alcohol. Of course, alcohol didn't agree with me, and so those friends stayed with me and they held cold towels to my head while I had this really intimate conversation with Mr. Toilet. Of course, these friendships never lasted long, but I always remembered my best friend that I'd gone to grade school and high school with. The years fell away, and there we were, friends and sisters, all rolled into one day when I picked up the phone and called. Couldn't believe she still had the same number, but she did. Having that one person in my life allowed me to feel like I was worthy to have a good friend in my life. Whenever I speak to young girls, I always share my high school experience. Not just experience, but also the lessons I learned from them. I have to, because too many times I had them tell me they give in to peer pressure because they don't want to be isolated and or ostracized. And I let them know that they're not alone, that many have faced these same challenges. And then I share with them the lessons I took from the experience. I believe it gives them hope. And I pray that it can do that for you as well. And I definitely share it with my granddaughters. I have a lot of them. And I really don't want them to suffer in silence and shame about anything in their lives without feeling they can come to an adult to help them get through it. I've learned that all through life we meet people, and by the time we're responsible adults, we end up having fewer amount of time to spend with these friends. So suddenly there's a need to put a degree of importance to them. After all, they're the friends you have at work, whom for the most part, you don't have any associations with outside of work. There could be those rare occasions when a friendship does spill over outside of work, but that's the exception. And of course, you have your Friday and Saturday night friends that you go to the clubs and party with. But if you're married or have outgrown that stage, then you're probably content to have a small get together with a few intimate friends and discuss your thoughts, ideas on current events, your spiritual beliefs, or pray with them. Whatever the case may be. These are the friends you can call in the middle of the night, and they'll come to hold your hand. There's a friend that you, growing up with, you probably called mom or dad, and now they're your mom, your dad, and your friend. Who knows? Then there's the friend that knows when to give advice and when to just listen. But it's up to you to determine what type of friends you have. And of course, what type of friend you are. My early experiences with friends stayed with me for many years. To let go of the ghosts from my past was not easy. It hurt so deep, which meant in a lot of ways I was in this holding pattern, not really going forward, definitely not going back, but just standing still. So it was never easy, but I made a promise to myself, and I promise you, if you've experienced anything like I've described, I implore you to release it, because the best is still yet to come. I personally believe that true friends are a rarity. True friendship requires work. It doesn't happen overnight. It must be nurtured with love, kindness, and respect. A true friend is one who reaches for your hand and touches your heart. Right now, in my life, I believe my heart is full. Of course, it's important for you to determine who the people in your circle are today. And here's an assignment I'd like for you to do. Yeah, I know you thought I wasn't going to get to that today, did you? Pull out that journal, and I want you to flip to a brand new page, and I want you to talk about your circle of friends, your circle of influence, the people that have an imprint on your life. And what I want you to do is to start with this small circle. I want you to put your name in the middle. Then around that circle, I want you to draw another circle. And then around that circle, I want you to draw one more circle. Now, before we do anything else with those circles, I want you to think about these 3 little questions. First, have you ever been pressured to do something you didn't want to do? 2, how did you handle it? And this one is really, really important. Is it more important for you to be a part of the group or be yourself? And however you answer that question, answer the second half of that question, why? Now let's get back to that circle that we put there. In that first circle, after you, I want you to write down what you consider your best or closest friend. And then around that, I want you to go to that next circle and write down your associates. There are some people that you may have some things in common with, but they're not in that closest circle. And then on the outer fringe, on that last circle, just put in your acquaintances. It just might be somebody you know in passing, you just have a working relationship with. But all of those people, those different categories are important because it's you who determines where they fall in your circle. And what are the qualities that you'd like those people to have? And while you're thinking about those qualities, especially for that inner circle, that most important circle, you need to make sure you have those same qualities as well. It wouldn't do good for you to be kind and honest and generous, and you have a closest person in your circle that isn't there, that don't have those qualities. That's not equal. That's not on equal footing. They won't be there to have your back when you need a friend. So I want you to take time this week to go through your mind and you can even go through your phone. Look at your categories. How do you have those people in your phone categorized? And then I want you to ask yourself, how many people in your phone do you even talk to? When was the last time you picked up a phone and called them? When the last time did you send them a text? When you send them a card, a birthday card, a congratulations, an anniversary, whatever the case may be. That will help you decide where they fall in your circle. You know, here's this neat little thing you need to know about your circle of influence. It's always changing. Because your innermost circle, it might not change that often because you've worked hard to develop that relationship. You know, to this day, Pam is still my best friend. I trust her. She has been there through some of my hardest times, the loss of my mom, the loss of my dad, the loss of my aunt. She's even helped me to keep Fresh Start for Women going when it was active. She's just always been there. And I pray that she felt that I've been there for her as well, that it's reciprocated. I love Pam dearly, and I truly know within my heart that I've given that love to her back as well, and I hope she knows it. And if she's paying attention to this week's podcast, if I haven't told her lately, Pam, listen, I love you, girl. You are my best friend. And I am so grateful for that girl in third grade who beat up a boy and dared him to touch me again. You know, think about the people in your life. Put them in high regard for the right reason. Make sure they are supportive of you, your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, and that they're not looking to knock you down or they're not jealous because you're moving forward. A friend should lift you up, should encourage you, should see the best in you. Of course, now they're going to be honest if you overstep, if you're a little out of line, but that's what a true friend does. Remember, I said, a true friend is one who reaches for your hand and touches your heart. How many are touching your heart? Talk to you soon. Be blessed, all. Enjoy your circle. Revise it, live it, love it,